Well, it was the freedom of it all. We were turfed out the house at 8:30 in the morning. 9 in summer holidays. Mother always had something to do. We never had any money, because I used to get 1 and 6pence pocket money, and I think it was about 6pence come in then. So we used to try and find a railing that had been bent and get in there, or go under one of the turnstiles.
We knew how to make it. We sort of used to go down what's called the snicket. There was a conveniently widened bit of the railings there, and I think we sneaked through that and into the gardens almost on a daily basis. I think they did have a warden in those days who rode on a bicycle, and he used to chase us, but he never managed to really catch us. But it was a wonderful time. The gardens, they had boats on the lake. Those were tremendous fun. I mean, I can remember we used to hire a boat, and there's an island in the centre of the lake. And we would get into terrible trouble, because we used to go around the far side of the island, out of sight of the chap who used to hire the boats out, and then we used to sort of jump out. It was very shallow in those days. Put a rope under a stone, and then we'd paddle across the broad walk and leave the boat moored on the far side. And he was shouting at us, "Come back, you scoundrels, you little beggars, I'll have you." But we all became firm friends, and we used to go and help him.
That was the big attraction, was the river. I couldn't wait to get in. I've always been keen on water, so we used to paddle in the river and throw stones in it, because nobody ever bothered in those days, and modesty, if your clothes got wet, you just went in your birthday suit. Nobody bothered. I started looking after my granddaughter. I used to fetch her and take her around feeding the ducks and everything. And unfortunately, I never got to do it with our Charlie, because he seemed to go straight to play school. Probably they think I might lead him into some bad habits around the garden. So,
I think that the favourite memory probably would be the Monty Sunshine concert of the late 50s. Recorded Petite Fleur, and it became one of the best-selling records of all time. And one of the first concerts he did with his own band was in the Octagon.
Well, it brings back so many memories from when I was roller skating in the 50s, and all the bands that used to come, Johnny Danquith, Chris Barber, and then all the groups. And there's the stage.
The first time I saw the Beatles, we hadn't the foggiest idea who they were, and thought it was extortionate. I think the cost was about 10 shillings or something for the ticket.
But when they came, in my latter teens, I got a part-time job at the Savoy Hotel at the bottom of Hall Bank. We knew the running time of the concerts, and my job was to prepare for the invasion, and we used to have to pull about 50 or 60 pints and line them up on the bar, so that when they came in, it was just take the money, take your drink. And they did. They came in their hordes.
I started with a group in Buxton, when we travelled all over the country playing, and one of the venues we played at quite regular was the Pavilion Gardens. We supported the Beatles, which was a very exciting time for us, because they were just hitting the top. While we were setting up, I had a chance to talk to Cynthia and Patsy about where the Beatles were and where they were stopping that particular night, but they wouldn't divulge anything like that. They wouldn't give any secrets away at all. We were first on the stage, and then another local group called the Deltones played, and then the Beatles came. And from there on, it's, we had a good time.
I think it was 1961 when I came to the dance at the Pavilion Gardens in the Octagon, where the big bands were always playing. And I met my husband David, and we had a dance together. Even though he couldn't dance very well, he'd been to dancing classes, but he didn't really dance terribly well. And we hit it off, and the tune they were playing was just in time.
Of course, you've got to explain that in those days, all the dancers were waltzers, quick steps. It wasn't, the days before jiving, really, so you had to be a sort of, relatively accomplished dancer. And this room here was absolutely packed with people every week, and it was a sort of fantastic occasion, all the band on the stage there. And we met at one of these dances, and yeah, as they say, that's it. Remember it evermore.
Probably the lasting memories will be actually being involved in the work that's being carried out here. By profession, I'm a chartered engineer, and I've been privileged to work on the octagon, the design of windows and the little crown on top. Just exactly 20 years ago, 1992, February, we actually sort of lifted the top off the building and put the new crown on top and put the windows back. The windows look like the original ones. They actually fell apart late 30s, early 40s. Obviously, during the war there was no great appetite for spending a lot of money, so they were simply boarded up, slated over, and until 1992 the windows just weren't there. There were some interesting problems. The ceiling is 40 feet high above the floor, and then the cap is another 20-25 feet above that. So it got an old caving mate, a lad called Keith Bentham, and he used his ropes to get us up there. A good job nobody was looking, because health and safety wouldn't have approved. To me, the Pavilion Gardens means so much on so many different levels. Entertainment, certainly, going back to the early 50s and continuing up to today.
There were no boundaries really. There were no, as long as you went home for your tea, you weren't late for your tea, and you didn't go home too messed up, life was pretty good. I don't think people had the same fun as we had here.
But incredible days, really. We had an awful lot of fun, and we were very lucky. You know, it was a lovely spot.